we go.
Hey everybody, this is Jessica Pilgrim, Regional Vice President with Arbonne. We have a special guest on our team call tonight, and thankfully this is recorded so you can share it with others if your teammates are not able to hop on right now. But we have Miss Tami Rea out of Michigan hopping on our call to share her story and just a testimony to Arbonne and what Arbonne's done for her, what it is. So Tami, take it away.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much. This is fun being together, and it's so fun to meet people along your journey, and to be promoting kind of at the same time and growing our businesses at the same time. And how long have you been in Arbonne, Jessica?
11 years.
Yeah. So for me, my first GTC was 2006. So
Nice.
I'm right there with you. So it's just cool to see, that we have these parallel journeys, and I just appreciate you pouring into my team too. It's so special to have you on our call. So,
yeah, we've been trying to set up this call with Tami for, call it a year. That's only 12 months. So yeah, thankfully time is now. So.
Yeah. Yes, right before GTC. So this is amazing. And I'm so proud of you guys for being on tonight. So you think about it in the grand scheme of things, we're all the same. We're all, sometimes when you see people on stage or you see a VP or the white Mercedes or wherever, you think that there's something different about them, or, something about you that isn't enough yet. And I hope to speak on that tonight, that, really, this is a business that's so beautiful because we can be successful being exactly who we are. And I just want you to hear that. Like, we all have a story, and the story is actually, one second while I mute everybody. Our story is actually designed perfectly just for us. So I hope you hear that message too through what I share tonight, is that, just embrace your story, be perfectly flawed, silly, goofing up all the time. Just be you. I think we have this chronic illness kind of, in our business, is that we copy people's posts on Facebook. We use other people's words. We kind of hide behind these memes and whatever, but people just really want to hear you and hear me and hear our hearts and what makes us unique. And so, I want to speak on that tonight too. So my story begins, oh my goodness, I was working as a nurse on midnights in labor and delivery. And on the outside, I looked like I had it all together. I had a good job, and I was a super happy person. But on the inside, I felt like I was dying, because I was working I went into nursing because I love people, of course, but it's the shift work, working midnights and holidays and weekends. I felt like I was living this isolated existence, and too afraid to really say that I wasn't happy, because I worked hard for that degree. And I met with someone at the hospital where I work. She was the receptionist on our unit, and she shared Arbonne with me, and I just bought products through her for several years, actually, before she invited me to a Discover Arbonne event. And I went to be nice, because I liked her, but in my mind I thought, it's nice she has a cute little business, and that's good for her, but I'm not a salesperson, I'm a nurse. And I had that wall up. So in my mind, she's doing a flip chart, DA. I don't know if you ever remember those, but yeah. And I'm just like, yeah, in my mind, kind of tuned out. But then she asked those two questions. If you keep doing what you're doing, where will you be in 5 years, and will you be happy? And I thought, it took my breath away. I was so uncomfortable with that question, because I'm an educated person. I couldn't really answer it, and I didn't have a good answer, and I didn't have, any other options, and I felt sick inside. And then she asked that second question, if the main source of income were no longer able to bring in that income, how long would you last on your savings? And again, it just hit me like a ton of bricks, because when I was 27 in 2002, I was actually diagnosed with breast cancer. And here I am, I'm vegetarian and a runner. I thought I was so healthy and doing all the right things. And I get clobbered with this diagnosis. And it was eerie because my mom had actually been diagnosed with breast cancer when she was 28, and she died when she was 30. And she left my sister, who was 7 at the time, and me, I was 2 when she died, so I don't have any memory of my mom. And so it just felt eerie, like, wow, is history repeating itself, you know? And we did all of the genetic testing, and it came back negative, which that was strange, you know, because we all expected there to be some kind of genetic link. The other piece of that was, you know, here I am, I'm single. I had just bought a house. I really didn't have any savings to speak of, because when you're 27, you just, you know, if I needed more money, I just worked an extra shift and didn't even think of it. So I was completely unprepared when I was told I wasn't going to be able to work for 6 months, you know, going through chemo. And so here I am, you know, losing my hair, going through cancer, had a bilateral mastectomy, reconstruction, the whole works. And yet my primary thought that kept me up at night was, will I lose my house this month? And I mean, it was real. And I think about that, you know, people, yes, we have amazing products, but I guarantee people are not lying awake at night thinking, what kind of face wash should I use? You know, which protein should I? No, they're lying awake at night, maybe thinking, well, I lose my house this month. You know, how do I get extra money for our kids? So that just really hit me. It was such a humbling experience, because I realized how so many people are just one paycheck away from homelessness, and actually 78% of the population are living paycheck to paycheck. And so that's a huge opportunity for us to, you know, to reach out to people and connect the dots for them, that this could be their way. I was so blessed and humbled to have people around me at that time who did all kinds of fundraisers and garage sales. And because of this outpouring, I did not lose my house, but I walked away thinking, you know what, I want to be that pay it forward person where I can just give to people in need and not ever even think about it. I want to make enough money to give away my extras. And I also knew in my heart that I needed to find a way to earn income without being clocked in somewhere. And I knew that if I felt that way, then other people must too. And so as my friend was talking to me about Arbonne, she's sitting at her kitchen table and saying, yeah, I'm building a multi-million-dollar business from my kitchen table. And I'm like, what? You know, wait a minute, I need to listen now. Like, wait, back up. What are you saying? What are you doing? What is this? And once I understood, you know, that it was just about loving the products and sharing what you love with people, I actually went district manager really quickly and went to GTC in 2006. That was my first one. And then there I stayed at district manager for 8 years. And I believe it was just because I was excited about the products, but I was really shy to talk about the business, because in my mind, my employee mindset mind, I thought that people wouldn't want to know the secret behind network marketing is that, you know, you have to work up front and not get paid a whole lot for the return later. And I was just nervous to say that to people. Does anyone feel that way? And I really do. I felt that held me back for a while, because I just wasn't talking about the business to anyone. And I also had this Mother Teresa syndrome going on, where I wanted to rescue people. And, you know, I heard recently something that really hit me square between the eyes, that, you know, we need to talk to people who want this business, not necessarily the people who need it. There's people everywhere who need this, but they just don't want to do what it takes. And here's a huge tip. The people who are already successful know that you have to put in time and hours. You know, you have to log your airtime, right? Log your hours before you get paid, before the reward comes. And so the entrepreneurial mindsets already understand that. They're not going to run for the hills when we talk to them about it. They already get it. So talk to successful people, like the people that are on your chicken list. Those are the people who are going to do really well in Arbonne, because they're not going to have all of these objections up front. And also, I read Business of the 21st Century by Robert Kiyosaki, and that is just an awesome book. I swear I had to read it 10 times for it to really sink in, but it changed my life. It changed my whole perspective on this business and made me confident in sharing what we have here. Another shift for me that helped me, you know, move out of district manager for 8 years. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think the reason that we are where we are in this business is because we haven't learned something. Like, we just need something to, you know, we need to learn more to get to the next level, right? So just take this as, this is school for entrepreneurs. We're in school right now, and it's okay. Whatever your journey is, it's perfect, and embrace it. Another shift happened for me when my sister was actually diagnosed with breast cancer in 2009. And so here we are, 3 out of 3 women in a family getting the same diagnosis, and yet not really understanding why, because it was not genetically related. And we, you know, of course, rallied around my sister, and, you know, the world kind of stops spinning for a while when a loved one is going through that. And we just, in my mind, I thought, okay, she's going to do, you know, the mastectomy and reconstruction and chemo and just do all the things that I did. We're going to pick up the pieces together. You know, it's going to be okay. And I just didn't even allow my mind to go there, you know, that maybe she wouldn't make it. And the rug was pulled out from under all of us when she passed away in 2012 at the age of 42. Just a super fun, vibrant, you know, school teacher, always made everybody laugh, huge animal lover. She would have loved you, Jessica. And for me, it was just, you know, I felt gutted because, you know, growing up without a mom, my sister was my person, my shepherd in life. And I still feel like maybe it's just been a while since I've talked to her. You know, it's still hard to imagine that she's not here. And after my sister passed away, we actually found out that we grew up near a nuclear weapons facility. And this was huge, you know, news. I couldn't breathe, because I just thought, wow, this is finally making sense of what happened to our family. And there's a nuclear weapons facility. It was in the Denver Boulder area, and it was called Rocky Flats. And you can go on YouTube, there's a whole bunch on it, but it was making the plutonium triggers, which is the heart of the atomic bomb. And plutonium is radioactive. Even a little grain of rice-sized amount of plutonium ingested is fatal. And this particular nuclear weapons facility was the closest facility to a residential area in the world. Like, usually they put these places, you know, in the desert remotely, but this was 2 miles from residential area. So what was happening is the plutonium was going into the groundwater. There were several explosions at the plant, and when plutonium ignites, it's as though an atomic bomb has detonated. So all of that was going in the air, and people lived there and didn't know that they were being exposed. And so I went to my holistic doctor that I was going to and just asked if I could be tested for plutonium. He was like, holy cow, what? You know, but I was tested. I was positive for plutonium, cadmium, beryllium, uranium, high levels of mercury, all these things. And I tell you what, for being someone who's been on a mission for health, it just felt like, you know, you just feel so defeated. Like, well, if I have plutonium in my body emitting radiation from the inside out, that's basically another cancer sentence brewing. And I just felt like lying down and waving the white flag, like it felt like too much. And we started chelation at the doctor's office. This was in the fall of 2012. And my chelation is the big guns for clearing heavy metals out of people. And we were just hoping it would work with something radioactive too, but it was damaging my kidneys. And so we had to stop short. And basically in early 2013, we were back at the drawing board. Well, in God's perfect timing, and I can say that with confidence, Arbonne was coming out with a 30 Days to Healthy Living plan right around 2013. At least that's when I was, shared the plan. And I ended up bringing all of the supplements and everything into my doctor's office. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the clean eating part, the supplements. I grew up vegetarian, but I grew up on processed soy. I ate, cheese, and I was sort of dabbling with going gluten-free, but not all the way. I didn't know anybody who'd gone off sugar. I mean, I was just like, what? This is totally new. I drank coffee like water as a nurse, that's just what you do. And so I embraced the whole clean eating portion and started with, I had, of course, I'd been using Arbonne, but just not all together, not in a whole system like that. And so I did it. I embraced it. And I asked my doctor if I could be tested to see what was being pulled using the 7-day body cleanse, because I knew that, people who had been exposed to radiation in Chernobyl were given iodine, and our body cleanse is actually filled with the marine botanicals, which are high in iodine. And it's so cool. I don't know if you know this or not, but the blue and brown and green algae and the seaweed, in the ocean and stuff, it actually acts like a filter, and it can convert radioactive material into plant matter, and it can convert those heavy metals in our bodies into plant matter. And so it's an amazing natural detoxifier. It kind of mops up all of these toxins that we've been exposed to over a lifetime and can help pull them from your body. It can even cross the blood-brain barrier. So you think about all these people with, high levels. It's been proven that high levels of aluminum in brain matter, are linked to Parkinson's and stuff, or, cognitive disorders. So you think about that. We have something in our hands that crosses the blood-brain barrier and can help, pull those heavy metals out of the brain too. So anyway, what we have is amazing. My doctor actually recommended I send, a stool sample to the lab to test. That's how you test for heavy metals. So I did the 7-day body cleanse, sent my sample. My doctor called me. He was like screaming into the phone. I didn't even know who it was at first. I'm like, oh, what happened? And he said, Tami, you're never going to believe this, but the thing that was being pulled the most using the 7-day body cleanse was the plutonium. I got a whole graph chart sent to me, and the longest line on the graph was the plutonium. And so in my mind, I just felt so much relief, really, that, whew, okay, this is amazing. And it took me 8 months of doing the whole clean eating, and people need to hear that their issues might not be resolved in 30 days, but that's 30 days is a great start. But after 8 months, my doctor said these words, I'll never forget it: no plutonium detected, and no mercury, no heavy metals. And it just, in that moment, it hit me that, this is not just a cute little business we have here. We have the most incredible health message, and people need to know that this not only changes your current state of health, it can change your future, And so you think about that. I just was so convicted at that point. Like I needed to get the word out, and I knew that this could be my way to honor my sister's life and honor my mother's life with my own, and pay it forward, sharing health. I remember my sister, when she knew she was going to die, she just kept saying, I wish that whatever I was going through would make a difference to someone else and help them. And at the time when she said it, I was like, oh, what do I say? I don't know. But now I know that what she went through is going to matter, because I'm going to get the word out and show people that we have this incredible incredible 30-day plan that they can transform into a lifestyle. And it's just so amazing. We need to know what a gift we have a hold of. So after I understood what my why was, because often when we know our why, we find our way, right? I think that's a huge pivotal point in our journey with Arbonne. We have to get really clear on our why. And once I committed to the business in 2013, it looked like 2 presentations a week. And I was working as a nurse at the hospital and also doing home care. And then I added in Arbonne. And, you know, honestly, I would have something at my house every Tuesday, and then I would try to book something at someone else's house, you know, whatever day worked for them. And honestly, you know, half of everything I booked didn't pan out. And, but what I did, I was so determined, I just kept the ball rolling. I would reach out to everyone and say, you know, I know this day didn't work for you, which day would? Let me get you a sample, the RE9 system to try in your home. Let's meet for coffee. You know, here, let me make you a fizz stick, whatever. I would just keep the conversation going and make it work. You know, you just kind of do whatever is necessary to keep those people in your pipeline. So it's so interesting because I believe that everything that we do matters, and everything that we don't do adds up, you know? And I remember having this like out of body moment. It was during the summer, and I was still a district manager doing my 2 presentations a week, and I was dressed up, you know, and I had my Arbonne bag, and I was leaving the house, and my husband had a bunch of people over. We had a pool, and it's like people were in the pool having, you know, cocktails, whatever, having a big party outside. And I was like, you know, having this moment, like, is it worth it? Because man, I've been doing this in a while and I'm still a district manager, and you know, like, is it worth it? And it is. It's like we just have to decide to stay steady and just hold on, because it really is about being consistent. And I was just consistent. We promoted to area within 14 months, and after 24 months total, we were a region. And I think back now, like, man, every other time that I had done activity and then I didn't see instant results, I had sort of let off the gas, and then like, oh, well, I'll just take a break. Maybe Arbonne isn't for me, whatever. Once I understood just to stay consistent, things started moving. So anyway, let that be a lesson. Like when you feel like when you feel like you're not getting anywhere, just hold steady. And I wanted to touch on the fact that, so last summer we actually moved, and so that was a whole new dynamic in your, you know, in your Arbonne business, is to be in a town where you don't really know people. I knew a handful of people, but none of them, you know, I called them all and said, hey, you know, we just moved. I'm so excited to get Arbonne rolling. And it would just mean the world to me if you could help connect me to some people, and whatever, you know, you say all the nice things, there's gifts in it for you, all this stuff. Nothing. Like nothing. Yeah, none of the people that we knew were willing to host. And it's like, okay, God, all right, I know you want me to do this, so we have to figure this out. And so, you know, I met people at yoga, I met people at the hair salon, I walked dogs with our veterinarian because I have dogs, and you know, you just start meeting people here and there. I met people at the gym, at the grocery store, and it just made me think a lot about a training from Richard Brooks, and he's the guy who wrote the book For Your Career and Mach 2 with Your Hair on Fire, and he's done a couple Go for Golds for us, and I really encourage you go back and listen to him, because he is full of so many words of wisdom. And something that kept coming to my mind through all of this was he did like an interview process with a bunch of people and just asked people, you know, are you open to network marketing? What is your view of network marketing? And it was an overwhelming response that people were not opposed to our products. They're not opposed to earning extra income. What they're opposed to is our approach. And so, because, I get this way too. You get so excited and you have goals in your mind and you need to get people, moving and whatever. And so it's like, as we're talking to people, we're not really listening to them. We're just trying to craft the perfect verbiage to sneak in Arbonne and see if we can figure this out. And what he recommended is to just focus on being such a likable person that people will want to keep talking to you, whether Arbonne comes up or not. And more often than not, I think you should just let it not be the main focus when you're just meeting people. And so, for example, I'm saying yes to everything I'm invited to because I'm new in town. And so I was invited to this party, and I literally knew one person there, and so I'm just talking to people. They're asking me, so what do you do? And I say, well, I worked as a nurse for 16 years, and now I have my own business, and it's amazing. I work from home. My husband does too. We live right on the water. The business is called Arbonne. What do you do? I just switch it. And then just listen to them, and they'll either circle around and say, now what was your business? Or, tell me more, whatever, or they won't. It's okay. But I'm listening, because at that party, I heard two women say that they moved to town because their husbands took a job, but they're not working. They want to do something significant that matters to them. And, I'm like, check, and I'm getting their numbers. I invited them to some events that I was doing, and they're part of my business now. It wasn't that day though. Like, it took some time to cultivate and just listen and just be that likable person that people want to answer your messages and want to, call you back and stuff and invite you to things. So it was, it's really about this long-term vision. And this is something I've just kind of grown into as I've moved along in this journey, is having a long-term vision and knowing that it takes, just statistically, it takes 7 or more exposures for people to really make a decision about Arbonne. It's not going to be the first one, more often than not. So just be cool with that. Know that that's normal. It's not anything that's wrong with you or me. It's just the way human nature is. And so just to have that long-term vision, like the people that we're talking to today may not be in our business for 3 or 6 months from now. And that's okay. That's perfect. It's wonderful. And I just kept thinking too, how so much of this business is about being brave, and just getting up and dusting yourself off and knowing that the obstacles are actually a sign that you're right on track. If you weren't having obstacles, you're really not in activity, right? Because there's just stuff that you have to learn, and the only way you can learn is just to jump in and do it. So I just encourage all of us to be brave and decide and commit and just do your 40 faces, do your 100 presentations, the same one over and over 100 times. I promise you'll be a VP by the time you're done with your 100. Be vulnerable. I think this is one of the most endearing qualities a person can possibly have. I mean, you think about it. Think about the speakers that we love the most in Arbonne. There's Linda Parker, who went district 8 times. She didn't have to say that. She didn't have to announce that. She could just get on stage and say, hey, work your business. You can be like me, whatever. No, she says, I've been there too. I just had to learn some stuff. I was, pushing on the gas and letting off, and pushing on the gas. Once she stayed steady, she went to the top. But it's so endearing to hear leaders say that they had some obstacles and a mountain to climb. Cecilia Stoll's so amazing, and yet she's like, I'm the biggest loser there was, like, just, you can be like me too. And so I think, it's so interesting, because I was so afraid when I first became part of Arbonne to even talk about my history of cancer because I didn't want people to label me as a cancer survivor or whatever. I don't know. I just had this weird thing. Like I didn't want to be known for cancer. But you know what? People relate to it. And just being vulnerable and sharing your heart, me being vulnerable and sharing my heart has opened the doors to my business, you know, more than anything, really more than anything. It's just listening to people and listening for a need. I tell my team all the time, if you don't know what to say, it's because you haven't asked them enough questions yet. So just be cool about Arbonne and just ask more questions, get to know them, see if it's a genuine fit, and be vulnerable. And, you know, you think about it, people don't bond to someone who's perfect. You know, they bond to someone who's sharing their flaws and sharing their heartache and sharing their fears and what they're nervous about. And can we just do that? Can we step out and be brave and nervous? And, you know, you think about a dog that like rolls over and exposes his belly. They're being vulnerable, but that's the way they're showing love too and connection. And it's like when we can be vulnerable, it allows other people to feel safe to be vulnerable and brave too, and they'll open their heart as well. I think sometimes we come in and we try to be so perfect. I think the best thing we can do is drop our notes and spill something and hand the wrong product over and just laugh at yourself and say, see, anybody can do this, you know, and then people, it like lightens the mood. If we're the perfect expert and we know all the ingredients, I'm sorry, but people just don't really want to be around a know-it-all, you know what I mean? So just be vulnerable, be brave, and know too that thoughts travel faster than the speed of light. So let that just sink in. Your thoughts travel faster than the speed of light. So if you're talking to someone with an agenda, they can feel it. If you can just let it go and just really listen to them and be a person that's so likable and just working so hard to understand where they're coming from, they're going to feel your love. They're not going to feel that agenda, and they're going to be drawn closer to you. So no agenda, only love. That's been my mantra in Arbonne this whole time. And it's so cool. I just saw a quote today by John O'Leary, who's our keynote speaker at GTC this year. I can't wait. He said, being motivated by love sets you free. There is no obligation, only joy. It's no longer about you. It can instead be about others. And I truly believe that when we can make this business about others, we're going to go to the top, because it's really not about being perfect or, you know, about anything about us. All that we need to be is truly be ourselves and know that we can be successful being exactly who we are, that we're enough right in this moment, and that our story is perfect. It is. Our story is enough, and let it out there. People need to hear your voice. People need to hear the gift of your unique experiences, your flaws, your mistakes, your insight, and just be you. So I just encourage you to let your voice be heard even more now than ever. I think we're inundated by commercials and canned speeches and copying other people's posts and all. We want to hear you. So even if it takes 10 minutes longer to express your vulnerable side, I guarantee it's going to draw you closer to your goals, whatever they may be, and draw people closer to you. And you're going to be this magnet for drawing successful people to you. So there you go. That's my story. And I'm just so excited to be with you guys. And here, I'll open it up if anyone, I don't even know what time it is. Oh, I think it's
fantastic. Yeah, it's only 9:36.
Oh, good.
Does anybody have any questions? We need to, you guys, the mute, it's the little speaker to the bottom left corner of your screen. If you want to unmute yourself and ask a question.
I don't have a question, but I really did enjoy hearing from you and hearing your story. I just actually made it back to district manager after falling down and getting back. So it's good to hear the journey that I can go up, I can go down, I can just stay at one level. And then when it's meant for me, I'm going to take off, you know, but I'm getting so much joy, not trying to make myself better, but trying to help others, you know.
That's
and
right. Oh, you're going to do amazing then, right there. That's the key.
So that's what I'm excited about, helping others, not myself. So.
All right, that's awesome. Noelle, are you going to GTC?
No. I'll be there.
Okay.
I have my ticket and everything. It just, no. I didn't panic.
I didn't mean to throw salt in the wound. I'm sorry.
She might cry.
I'm bad about not going, so.
All right.
Next year.
Yeah.
Next.
And perhaps Green Bay this year.
Yeah, right. I like it.
I like it.
We'll put that on the horizon.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I want to thank you too and tell you one thing that really struck with me is when you were talking, I wrote, be present, not perfect.
Mm-hmm.
And that just really, really hit home with me, because I think sometimes it's really easy to feel like, oh, no, if I haven't just said everything just perfectly, if I stumble over a few words, or if I can't remember what price this product is, that I've done something wrong. But I think you're absolutely right. I think there's a lot of truth and honesty that comes in that vulnerability, whether it's not being 100% at your best, but being human.
Mm-hmm.
I think we tend to forget that sometimes in the rush to, you see the end of someone's journey and you forget the path that got them to that point. And it's okay for you to be in the middle of it, in the thick of it, down in the mud, as it were. So thank you very much for sharing.
Oh, you're welcome. It just makes me think again of Richard Brooks. He's like, if you can take that first year and just really build relationships and be so likable and, do nice things for other people, not asking them for things for you all the time, you know what I mean? But just building that relationship. By the second year, you're gonna boom. And it's cool. We've lived in our town now for about 8 months, and I could just cry because so many things are blossoming. But when I first moved there, I felt like, oh no, what's gonna happen? It's like starting over. But we just have so many good things blossoming, and it's really exciting, but it takes time, and just to allow that long-term vision, and it's worth it. It's worth it to just nurture those relationships and give people time to consider. The people at the top were asked, like, some of them over 3 years before they made a decision, but they're still here. So it's just embracing that our journey is perfect. And that people need to hear our true story. Yes. Hi, Heather.
Hey. First of all, I think your story might be my favorite story I've ever heard. I'm serious. Aww. And I'm going to tell you that your light and the joy that you exude is so palpable that I know that that's what draws people to you. And I strive to have that. So my question, I have a couple. The first one is just a very basic question of how often do you do the 7-day cleanse now that you know it eliminates the plutonium out of your body? So that's something that you can just answer really quickly. The real question is, what kind of personal growth do you do? What's your system for personal growth? Do you do it daily in the morning to keep your mind and your spirit in this place that we all see that's just so radiant? How do you do that?
I love both of those questions. So for the 7-day body cleanse, my answer that I give to the masses is do the 7-day body cleanse every month until you've reached your goal. Okay? So whether that goal is weight loss or whatever, do it every month until you've reached your goal. And then you can, maybe not do as much. For me personally, these are my words, but I feel like it's going to be the survival of the species, for us to be to detoxify regularly, because there's so many chemicals being introduced to our society that have never been tested on human life, and it's like we're constantly bombarded, so we constantly need to change those filters. So I personally do it maybe 10 months still out of the year. So I do. I just think it's super important, and it's exactly what sets Arbonne apart from any other program. We have that detoxification component, and it's brilliant and it works.
Okay.
So that's that. And then, and then the other piece, yes, it clears plutonium, but I also hope that you heard that this is far more than just a weight loss program. It really is helping people get their health back. So, and then the personal growth. So I just had a shift. So my personality is I'm an avid reader. I always have been. I read like 4 books at the same time, I just have them in different places in my house, and I'm always reading. I've changed that though. And now it's kind of crazy. Are you ready?
Yeah.
But, I'm doing this thing. It's Augmandino, which is Cecilia Stoll's favorite author. So I'm like, check. Okay, I need to study Augmandino. And it's a book called The Greatest Secret. And it's a 10-month course, basically. And it's basically you read one passage every day. You read it 3 times a day for 30 days. You're reading the same thing over and over, because really, you think about it, what's happening with us right now can be broken down to our habits. Whatever results we're getting is based on our physical habits and the way we think, our thinking habits. So in order to, and our 30 days to healthy living changes our eating habits, right? So what I'm doing in personal growth now is changing my thinking habits by repetition. And so what's so amazing about this is, like the first month, it was talking about creating good habits. And I'm reading this over and over and over about letting go of things that aren't serving me and creating good habits. And now this month, it's about, I greet this day with love in my heart. And when I'm looking and talking to people, I'm silently saying, I love you to them. And so they see it in my eyes and they feel it coming out of me. Even though I'm not saying the words, they feel it. And how can they say no to me if all they can feel is love? And so, and the next month is talking about persistence and, that I will until like I'm going to keep doing this and hold on. And it's just amazing because there's 10 key points, but you're reading them over and over and over to change those neural pathways. And I've never done this before. I would just like read through books really fast and go to the next one, but it wasn't like sticking. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes.
It's kind of amazing, I have to admit. So I think that could work for any book, but just to really study it and take it, let repetition change your brain, change your thought patterns. And I think that's been something I've been working on for a while, is being able to acknowledge negativity when it's coming at me and, just acknowledge like, ooh, this doesn't feel good. I'm going to acknowledge it, but I'm going to decide that this isn't who I am. This isn't who I am. I don't have to let it in. I don't have to let circumstances throw my whole day off. I can acknowledge it in that moment. Like, this doesn't feel good. This makes me mad, whatever, and then decide right in that moment, but this isn't who I am. And this isn't going to define the rest of my day. And then I just start working on, again, repeating these, whatever's going to make you feel good, I greet this day with love in my heart, whatever. Or maybe read the Bible or go pet your dog or go for a run. Exercise helps me a lot, just kind of shift my emotions. But just knowing that it's in our power to shift our emotions, and that's huge, because that wasn't always me. I would let something affect me for a week, and then you feel guilty about that. So I think it's definitely something that we need to be intentional about and just realize that we decide who we are and who we're going to be. And that's just such a gift too, from Arbonne, is this personal growth that we don't have to be victims to our circumstances. We can change our thoughts. We can change our habits. And another great book is The Compound Effect. That's just, it's just, again, about those slight little things that can throw off your whole future. But just by creating these good, healthy habits, it creates a whole different future.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was a long answer.
I love it. What was the first author again?
Ogmandino, O-G, M-A-N-D-I-N-O. He wrote.
Oh, I had really messed that one up. Okay.
Yeah, no, great. I'm glad you asked. He wrote The Greatest Salesman on Earth or something like that. Maybe that's not exactly the title.
The Greatest Salesman in the World.
Yeah, that's an awesome book too. That was the first one I read, and so The Greatest Secret is kind of the next volume. Yeah, part 2 of that book.
Okay.
But yeah, it's really, I don't know. I think it's been profound because I'm reading the same thing over and over, and boom, I'll see something totally different in the passage. Like, wow, I never even noticed that, or I'll get sort of agitated, like, oh, I have to read this again, and I'm like, wow, something just felt different. It's just, I don't know. It's kind of interesting. I'm sure just the same as the healthy living plan. We have days where we're just annoyed and then days where we can see a lot of progress,
Yeah, I just told Jess I was reading some books over again because I feel like I'm getting different stuff out of them.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I heard Deanna Herron said that she's reading her books differently. Like she really takes her time and journals and, writes things down and just really studies them. And I'm like, wow, what a concept. Because I was just going, like read as many as you can to get the A, but that's not how it works. It's like, what's going to change your brain? Anyway, great question.
Any other questions?
Aw.
You guys have anything else? It's 9:49.
Oh, you guys are troopers.
That's so awesome. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for taking the time. And I know you're leaving for Vegas tomorrow, so thanks for giving us your time.
Who's going? Are you guys all going? Okay. Woo! We have to get together. See you.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
I love your nation shirts too. I want to buy one of them. They're so cool.
Yeah. The blue, the pink ones.
Yeah.
Boss Babe, right? Oh, I love those.
Cute.
Yeah. I might
very
be
cute.
Fun at Green Bay.
Yeah.
Cute.
Well, love you all so much. Thank you for this.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Awesome.
We will see you in Vegas.
Yay!